Hey, I'm here with Alex.
Oh, hi.
And this is a fast, quick video. I want to outline what I would do with Transworld, I think, to make the show better. Now, this is their new hall here in St. Louis. And you'll notice that we're walking on the old floor here. So this part of the show, I don't know if it had been used in the past because I don't know the configuration. But you'll see where they added on to the hall over here. You see where the old meets the new. So obviously, from here on, it's brand new. You'll also notice there's no beams in the center. It's very bright. It has its own entry right there. And it's connected to the new loading docks. And you see loading docks everywhere. Now, I'm gonna walk over here and I'm just gonna quickly explain what I would do to just completely reimagine the Transworld show. I would move every haunt vendor for 2026 in here because they would all fit. See, look at how big it is, okay? It's like 2 football fields wide, maybe 2 football fields long, maybe a football field and a half. It's big, okay? It's very big. And it's definitely big enough for every single haunted house vendor, okay? Now I'm gonna show you a couple other reasons why I would move it over here. Number one, it's connected to the new loading docks. It has new bathrooms. No beams in the center whatsoever. And I'm gonna show you another interesting feature they've got going on over here. When we've talked about vendors need to bring new stuff. And I'm gonna tell you right now, vendors need to reach out to their buyers and start making custom stuff. Getting ideas from the haunted house owners themselves is better than the vendors thinking, hey, they want the same thing last year. We don't, and it's really hurting the show. And I think it's hurting vendors as well, because there's only so much of the same thing you can get. Now, do you see what these are right here? These are bleachers. And do you know why those are here? Those are brand new, by the way. This is in the new section. The reason those are here is so if you do live demos on the show floor, they could say put them over there, the demo stage can be here, and you could be doing live demos on the show. Now look how big this convention center is. I suggest they move all of the haunted house vendors, relocate everything, and put everything in here that's haunted house. Start from scratch. Put the Christmas show and the rest of the vendors and stuff up in the front. You make the haunt owners walk through, and basically everyone walk through the section that does the worst to get to here. Or the haunted house owners can literally come through that door right there. This is so much better for everybody because it's new, it's modern, it's brighter. Now I'm gonna tell you another thing that the Transworld should do. You see these banners up in the ceiling? Transworld needs to make custom banners. They need to redo the entire show. So, like, let's say the first 2 aisles are masks and costumes. This aisle is props. These banners all the way down say what section you're in. So even if, like, say this front section is props and the back section is, let's say, you know, animatronics, the banner down there would have an animatronic, haunted house animatronic, and so on and so forth. Every single banner would represent the section of the show. The entire haunted house industry would fit inside of this hall as is. And you move the rest of the show, escape rooms, agri-tainment, and maybe even food vendors, business vendors, and everything else out in the front, so you make them walk through that to get to here. That would benefit those vendors because they would actually be exposed first. And we know all the haunted house owners are gonna walk into this section, make them walk through everything else. So that would mean there would not be any bad booth space at Transworld anymore if they move the entire haunted house industry here. And they started doing live demos on the show floor, which they could if they were in here. And the big stuff that the haunted vendors bring in, boom, loading dock, right in. This is so much better. It would be so much better for everybody. And Transworld's got to embrace these. These banners up in the ceiling will identify the section. So in short, here's what I'm saying. You re-theme, you relocate everything, you give the vendors with the longest run first dibs on where they want to go. You give those vendors also, maybe the ones that buy the most boosts, the first dibs, and then you go from there. But this would be so much better. So much better. So much better for everybody. And then if you did the banners like I'm saying up in the ceiling, you would be able to identify where everything you're looking for is. And I know some people are gonna say costumes and mask companies don't wanna be together. Look, you separate masks and you have a costume company, and then maybe you have a company that sells weapons or slider gear, whatever, in between, and you divide them up that way. But it doesn't matter. I wanna go where the costumes are because I'm looking for costumes. I wanna go where the animations are because I'm looking for animations. Everybody walks every aisle. You don't need to necessarily be apart from another vendor. You could put a dark zone in here as well. And you see, they're using it for tables and chairs, but you would have none of that here. What I would do is this section that connects to the next section, I would literally put all of that over there, like in the middle of the two. So the food would be in the middle of the haunts to Christmas, as an example. And I would just re-theme everything. And you know what this would allow Transworld to do? Grow. Then what they could do, literally, is get another industry to come in here. Family Fun Center, more of that, more food vendors, people who sell, like food trucks that you could buy for concessions, a retail section, and you make all that stuff the very first stuff that you go through. So you have to get from there to the haunt section. It would be so much better. And with these banners identifying everything and where everything is at, and every section of the show is themed, because I'm gonna tell you what I really hate about Transworld, and you don't know what is in each aisle. You don't know where to go. You don't know where, it's easy to pass something up. But if you literally section off everything the way they do at IAAPA, that wouldn't be the case. And when a new showgoer is looking at their website, they would know, oh, okay, there's a food section. There's a business to business section. There's lighting and fog and a section for that. A section for animatronics and props. There's a section for Christmas. There's a section for agri-tainment or escape rooms. Literally rethink the entire show and the future of the show. But you start by putting the haunts in one section all together from scratch and build out from there. You don't need to put the haunts first because most of the people coming are haunts. They're gonna go walk through whatever it takes to get to the haunt section. So why not reverse it? But give the haunts the best section, which is this one. Everything would fit in here. So that's my quick video. And one thing in closing, as we see Alex over there, one thing in closing that I would say to the vendors, and I want to be clear, this is a partnership. Vendors need haunt owners to buy stuff. In order for us to buy stuff, you have to bring stuff we want to buy. And I'm not saying you're not doing that, but you're not doing that at the levels, say, of 8 years ago, 5 years ago. Work with the haunt owners. Find out what they want, throw everything on a wall, and just, hey, these are the 5 best ideas that I got. Now I'm gonna tell you something. There's a vendor way over there. He's got an ice cream cone with a baby doll head in it, with a cherry on top of the baby doll. So cool. That would be a great prop, by the way. But with that being said, that's what I think should happen. And by the way, if Transworld took the whole convention center, they could do their own show like this. It would blend in very nicely. But it would give Transworld options to have another show, but up front. Because then they wouldn't be buried. Because everybody's gonna walk through it to get back here. Anyway, there's my rant and roll. And you let me know what you think of this new section And let me know what you think of compartmentalizing, just like IAPA does. Just like IAPA does. And by the way, another thing I'm going to suggest is Transworld should bring back Wednesday seminars and make them exclusive to haunted house owners and operators. Make it very expensive too. Hate to say that. And get really good speakers that understand how to grow the haunted house industry. And I'm talking about getting representatives from Google, for example, and having those seminars before Transworld even happens on Wednesday night. And then bam, they flood in on Thursday. Let's make Transworld better than ever. Share your ideas and let me hear them. Thanks, and happy haunting.